going to be, you know, telling us more about the program, plus more about the president's Sports for Development Initiative. My name is Boakai M. Fofana. I am the Deputy Minister for Technical Services at the Ministry of Information, Culture Affairs, and Tourism. We haven't had Kwame in the studio yet. Hopefully, he'll come during the course of the program. But we have our own Joseph Day. Joseph Day, good morning. What's up, man? How you looking like you kind of quiet, on the quiet side of the morning?
Yeah, sometimes I can be over.
What happened? You slept well?
No, not that pillow.
Not that bro?
Yeah, the artist only graduated. Just see that pillow. So, honestly, yeah, that pillow for you.
Anyway, welcome to MICAT.
Okay, MICAT, your money, yeah? I remember this one from the orange.
Yeah, oh no. I mean,
so we used to keep it, no. Yeah,
you look like it.
Especially one clothing, I got stuck tower. You remember, you do an amount of
Look at why you can't be taking me? Look at my small face.
I want clothing got stuck tower. What's a baker? Then we had what's a Ezra and Mama Rina and all the places. We used to kill you, the country with that bureau, with that bureau, what country would be. Oh, when dango, when man river, when man river.
When they used to wash cow beer.
When bombing, he was bombing. Oh, man.
Anyway, the president came back to the country on yesterday following the IDA 20 summit. That is the World Bank Group's summit. Yeah, it's from Senegal. The president of the country now. And earlier this week, he was also at ECOWAS 61st Heads of State Summit in Accra, Ghana. There, the president and other African leaders, other ECOWAS leaders, were basically talking about the state of the security situation in specifically in Mali, in Guinea, in Burkina Faso.
The security situation in Mali is our EFS are stuck, and the Malian people saying, and then bring in the air, they will take it down. So EFS can come back.
No. I mean, there was a specific issue with Sarah has been going there. Okay. I mean, there is this 20% that they have been using out of their pay. It didn't just happen now. There is this, I think, some 20% of their whatever allotment that we get.
But why we can send through to go free our boy? Why we can send bring the cheaper side they can organize people we can attack money. Yeah, man. The kind that block can take something there we can attack money.
But the good thing is that, I mean, relative to that particular story, is the fact that, you know, Liberia came from a pariah, you know, so to speak, country to now one of those countries that is sending, you know, troops to other troubled nations, you know. So Liberian troops are currently in Mali helping to bring peace to that country following, you know, the Tuareg rebellion earlier, and then later on they had, you know, several coups and all of that. So it's led to some instability, and Liberian troops have been there. So that's one of the trouble spots that ECOWAS was talking about this week, plus the situation as well in Burkina Faso. We also heard in Burkina Faso the former president has been called back by the military junta in that country, Blaise Compaoré, and then the situation in Guinea as well. So those were the things that ECOWAS, you know, met this week to talk about, and the president reiterated his stance on military takeover, and he attributed that to the fact that you know, some other people want to extend their term beyond what is allowed by the constitutions of their country. So it shows that President Weah is extremely stern as far as unconstitutional extension of people's tenure, of a leader's tenure. He said that shouldn't be practiced. As a matter of fact, what the president even did here in Liberia was an attempt to reduce his tenure. But then the politicians started to read all kinds of things. I think they were afraid of their own shadow. I don't know what it is. Probably they didn't want to give him, because that would have been transformational. They didn't want to give him credit for the fact that he reduced.
Say greedy politicians.
Yeah, some greedy politicians. They didn't want to give him credit. So they rallied their supporters to calling on people. I mean, who rejects such a good thing? And then when they rejected it, along with other good propositions that were proposed, such as the dual citizenship and all of that. After they rejected it, they realized it was not politically expedient for their base. They went all out now, started to talk to some of the folks in the diaspora, saying, they prefer the dual citizenship and all of that. But then, why did you rally your supporters against the president's idea, or just because it was coming from George Weah? Anyway, that's for another day. But today we just wanted to talk about the fact that the president came back to the country following the ECOWAS summit, and then he went on to Senegal to another summit that was hosted for African leaders, who have been facing the wrath of some of the, global mishaps, such as COVID, the food insecurity, the recently Russian-Ukraine war, in Africa with its 1.3 billion population, contribute less to some of these adversities, but then we face the wrath from them the most. So, the World Bank's group, the African Development, the International, they may disturb me, they start disturbing me by talking, the International Development Association mobilized some money for different development cycles. Firstly, they had the IDA 19 development cycle that is coming to an end now, and they just mobilized additional money for the IDA 20 development cycle because of the success of the IDA 19. So this one, they are mobilizing upwards of $93 billion, that should go to mitigate some of the crisis from the Russian-Ukraine conflict. The adverse effects of the Russian-Ukraine conflict, the lingering effects of Ebola, the current COVID-19, food insecurity that will be affecting primarily developing countries, most of which are in Africa, and the fact that we are having most of the resources, but contribute very less to global trade. So one of the things that President George M. Weah asked his colleagues to do is the fact that we need to be less dependent on
China,
international
Taiwan,
organizations and all of that. We need to make sure that we developments in the already.
Red factory.
So he also told them about the fact that Liberia is very dependent on imports, and as a result, we are having some issues here relative to increase in the prices of basic commodities because of the Russian-Ukraine crisis, like it's happening in other countries. Some of the time people just think that Liberia is an island, and that the inflation that is happening, even though the government has tried significantly to put it under control, now we're in the single digits. If you compare that to other countries, that Ghana has a major crisis, right? You probably don't know, but Ghana has a major crisis this week, following deniers by the government, or insistence by the government that they weren't going to go to the IMF for relief. They finally buckled under pressure that they were going to go to the IMF for some relief, because food prices and other commodities, were surging in Ghana, and it beginning to lead to some political instability and all of that. And so the people decided that, we got to go to the IMF. And by the way, this was a decision that Liberia took years back. A couple of years ago, 2 years ago, when Minister Toure and his team, and the president of Liberia decided that, we need to go to the IMF. Some other countries were saying, no, we're not going to do it. In fact, we respect our sovereignty and all the different stuff. But as a matter of fact, when we did that very early, it hurt us politically at the time, because it came on the heels of the 2020 senatorial elections, and some other politicians took advantage of that, leading protests and all of that. But we're now beginning to have stability in the economy, to the extent that we're talking Liberia not only had the highest budget since the post-war nation, the highest $785 million budget projection. But now we're recasting it for it to go upwards. So we're not talking 785, we're talking $800 million budgets. We're talking 200 million shy of $1 billion budget. That's what is happening in Liberia. And I hear some of the folks talking about, oh, but we're not feeling it and this and that. Well, I mean, there's gonna be a trickle-down effect eventually. I was telling you the last time there are some discussions about how we can have some, that people begin to feel some of the impact of this, of some of the gains that the government is making, maybe in the forms of increase in wages or maybe lesser how do they call it, taxation, withholding tax and all of that. But those are things to be discussed, and those are conversations that are being had. And so the president was telling his colleagues some of his priorities for going forward. He talked about health, energy sector, education, agriculture, the digital economy, and all of that, youth, women, and what have you. Those are the things that the president told his colleagues at the IDA 20 summit that he is absolutely concerned about. Let's talk about the upcoming cabinet retreat. The whole government, or so to speak, say for the legislature, maybe the judiciary and all of that, but ministers, deputy ministers, assistant ministers, heads of commissions, SOEs, their deputies, and all of that. All of us going to be convening in Nimba County beginning Sunday. Yeah, so the whole government is going to be convening in Nimba County beginning Sunday. They're going to be, this is going to be the, I think...
you going to?
Yeah, I'm going. I'll be there. This is going to be the third occasion that government has convened, in such a manner and form out of the capital for a retreat.
You're going to eat?
No, not going to eat. We're going to discuss coordination in government.
Okay.
But also the government is going to discuss revenue. There's going to be a lot of discussions, issues around issues around revenue generation and expenditure. But it's also going to be discussion about accountability. So all the different integrated institutions going to be giving the briefings. So whether you're talking about the GAC, the IAA, the LACC, and what have you.
What else went to?
All of that.
Where they went on now? I went. I said, "What all got me? What all got it? Yeah, man."
So all of those groups gonna be
But
there.
they could consider the video to carry that they talk with bad in the ELBC. ELBC working a few days.
ELBC, yeah.
Oh,
but I'm not lying myself. But I say, as a matter of fact, I live in a Baptist seminary community, right? And that is a community that have never had LEC for years.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about, my neighbors already have it, they can't stop thanking the government. This is a place that we only been using generator, how few expensive nowadays. So LEC is doing really well.
Agency that not supposed to go. Agency that not supposed to go.
I beg you, not the platform here.
I just talking something.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
How you got it? You see water and swore. They're not going part to play in that discussion. Because we can see water, the same one part, they come one day go. Then the networking and forestry, they stay here.
For you?
They're not going nowhere.
FDA? FDA been doing well.
The FDA, they're not doing nothing.
No, man, see my doing well, man. Don't do that. Yeah, see my doing.
You can see monkey playing again.
But a part of the reason, so these endangered species are not to be sold in the streets, not to be coming to town and stuff like that. So that's an indication of the kind of work they're doing.
Monkey playing, you can get more monkey if you all the monkey in the case. It's able to protect monkey and baboon. You can see baboon playing in the city again.
I know it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so the retreat will be fun. It's going to be a full day.
So
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So yeah, it's going to be a full day retreat. So each of the cabinet ministers is going to be coming up front to give, and I'm just giving you preview. It's no longer preview anyway. Yeah, so each of the cabinet ministers is going to be coming up front to give, updates about what's happening at the different ministries and what have you. So they're going to be telling the rest of their colleagues, but also it will be presided over by the president. The vice president is going to be there. So you're going to be briefing about what's happening at your ministry. The president is going to be asking you questions, plus your colleagues and what have you. So this will afford every institution the opportunity to talk about what they're doing.
How many days?
About 4 days.
Yes, but they say, oh, then who go back and tell the president they didn't in charge.
We're in the country. We're not living in the country. So yeah, we're not
somebody
living in the
can be in
country.
charge, but you come here and go pay, bro. You actually your team and you door.
Oh, the country go better.
You come here and go pay, bro. I will not go. I'll be doing you with Gabo. If purpose attacking, then I've sent you a bank. My home will get full. I didn't even bank. Put it in my school. I will knock it.
Anyway, yeah. So it's gonna be so. Besides, I think the president gonna stop in Kakata and have some events there.
Yeah.
You know, I was listening to the news this morning,
Yeah,
and there
president
are
usually
some.
start in Kakatan when traveling. Usually travel back
Yeah.
to roasted meat from Ajalo. And then me can be sweet.
Then Jalo meet out,
Yeah, that's my me can be too sweet. President then the meat sweet.
And you know, I was hearing a reporter talking this morning about the possibility that the president might also sleep over in Bond County. You know, I listened to the Super Morning show this morning, and so that came up. So maybe the Director General of the Cabinet, you know, might update the cabinet with that later on. But yeah, so the president came back to the country. He's going to be driving up, and so and people want to see him. You know, this is when you know, and the country people, the way they regard the president, the people you can call the country people, you know, the people of country.
Quote unquote.
Quote unquote. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I like it. Quote unquote.
Yeah.
Because
and I go English, eh?
very good English. Yeah, so and the way they regard their leaders, that is quite different from the way the urban people regard their leaders. You know, the people of the country are quite conservative when it comes to leadership. They respect them, they hold them in such high esteem, they revere them in a way, they value them, the leaders. You know, so when the leaders go in, the people prepare and all of this stuff. Where you see all of the different taunts and you know, criticisms and you know, all the different political activities that are in urban areas, specifically in Monrovia. You know, that's where you're gonna see. So when I tell people, I say, look, when you the upcoming stuff that we're talking about, the 2023 elections, you know, where you're going to have most of the activities. Maybe you're going to be in Montserrado, and, you know, probably to an extent in Lofa County, but it's going to be a wrap when we talk about the rest of the country. Anyway, but yeah, let's talk about the cabinet retreat. So it's going to be a 4-day retreat. Yeah, so we're going to talk about accountability and transparency. There's going to be conversation. Yeah, and that is to indicate how much President George Weah values accountability and transparency to the extent that he made it one of the topical issues at this retreat. You know, so for people who've been talking about, oh, the president doesn't care about, you know, and all of that, the president has taken some transformational initiatives as far as transparency and accountability is concerned. Whereas there were bills lingering in the government, the legacy, you know, initiative that should have been taken a long time ago, that weren't taken, such as proposition for the LSCCs to have prosecutorial powers, you know, proposition for witness protection and all of those different stuff. The president, you know, they didn't care about the political ramification. He preferred those bills to the national legislature, and it is up to them now to take actions in that effect. So what that's going to do is to remove the LSCC for under, you know, sort of the jurisdiction. They're not under the jurisdiction currently, but to an extent, they got to wait for the Justice Ministry to prosecute. But if those bills that the president preferred are passed, they're going to be prosecuting themselves. So it shows you the level of interest. Plus, you know, the fact that the president is in the recast budget. They're going to be building courts and all of that. You know, there was some suggestion, there was some promises that the president made during the Biden summit on governance, on democracy, about the setting up of a special anti-corruption court. The president's taking on some initiative as far as that is concerned, you know, and all of that. So those are things that are going to be discussed. Plus revenue generation, you know, and expenditure, and then all the different cabinet ministers going to be giving their individual briefings, you know, to their colleagues. They're going to be asked what they're doing and all of that. Plus, the president is going to inspect projects taking place in Nimba. The GOS is going to play Ganta Old Timers. You know, there are also going to be networking events and what have you. So it's going to be quite a week in Nimba County.
The museum you're going to?
I know about
Anybody going?
the music union.
Yeah, anybody going?
Yeah, they honor something we call the collective society. Yeah, so we have
information.
on the information ministry.
Culture.
Yeah, the culture. The collective, the tailor union, the musician union, and all of that. The collective society.
Movie union.
Movie union.
So what you're doing for your children? A topic for another day.
Topic for another day. You know what you.
Okay.
Yeah. So also we want to talk about the fact that this week the government of Liberia signed. The government of Liberia this week signed a memorandum of understanding with the Aspire Foundation. It's a sports, it's a foundation that is responsible for the development of the Doha Sports Center. It's a 250 hectare of land that has a different sort of sporting facilities and all of that. It's part of an initiative that the president has launched called Sports for Development. And the lead of that project is the Minister of State with our portfolio, Minister Chokonkwi. He's on the line right now. Minister Kwi, good morning.
That's true.
Mama, you talk too much.
That's true.
Oh, wow.
Are you going or are you going?
No, I call him, man.
I thought I credit him.
No, we agreed to call. We agreed to talk. So he's going to be on the line. We will talk to him. So I'm making attempts to reach back to Minister Kwi. We will be, talking to Minister Kwi shortly. You used to play for what?
Westa. We got soon.
Come on, I beg you. Don't put your on my people.
This a portfolio.
Eh?
Why you go to find the money?
Who?
They are all Muslim men. You try find you. You got program. ELBC whatever they do.
Huh? ELBC?
Eh.
Yeah, they say all agencies, all SOEs and what have you. So we're gonna be having all of them at the retreat. We have Minister Kwi on the line. Let's talk to Minister Kwi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, welcome to MICAT Hour. This is a production of the Ministry of Information, Culture Affairs and Tourism. It's your debut on this show. Welcome once again.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
And thanks for the great job you do, Baga.
Okay. We also have, Joseph Day in the studio, who is Liberia's best comedian. He's, he sort of interspices the program usually with jokes and what have you. So some of the times you come in, and just so you know that in case you haven't listened before. But let's talk the most serious stuff first. Recently you were in Qatar, and you have been the lead of the government as far as, those kinds of different projects are concerned. So let's talk firstly about the deal you signed in Qatar. What was it?
Thank you very much. Again, as I always say, most of these initiatives are under the President Delivery Unit, and the President is the one that gave the marching order. And so what happened was, during the opening ceremony of the Invincible Sports Park, I was in touch with Aspire, Tim Cahill and his team, and I invited them for the opening program. I think if you follow the news or conversation that day, they brought jersey for the president, and they also brought a jersey for me. And knowing that the president is a football icon, Tim Cahill has always wanted to meet with him. So it was a dream come true for him and the whole Aspire team. During that trip, CEO of Aspire. So for first hand, they saw the sporting need and infrastructure need of Liberia. And one of the things they also did was, after our one-on-one meeting with the president, the promise that they were in the holy month of Ramadan, and as soon as they returned, they were going to invite me to Qatar for me to see their facility and see what they are doing. And so they raised it at the government level. And so the Minister of Youth and Sport, His Excellency Al-Heed, invited me, and I had a one-on-one conversation with him. and then I went to Aspire for the government initiative. The minister was very excited, and he said through a bilateral means he was going to start the drafting of some form of sports development MOU. And as I speak, that is still ongoing. And so a copy of that will be shared with our Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And then because we have already started the conversation with Aspire, so we just continue. And Aspire being here, the branch of Aspire that was focused on development here was football. And so I have been having a conversation with my boss, His Excellency George Weir, and he's giving the direction what we need to do. Remember, football activity or sporting activity is controlled by the federation, so the government cannot directly interfere. But this is different because it's under the president's post for development initiative.
Yeah.
And he thought it was, although he gonna focus on infrastructure development in sports, it was also important knowing that he himself is an ex-professional player to use that same medium to introduce taking care of the national team, which is what they term to be elite sports, and then we also going to be targeting grassroots football. That's why during the signing ceremony, Tim Cahill was the one that signed on behalf of Aspire because he is responsible for football. And so they...
And Tinke and Hill is a former Australian international, right?
Yeah, and he also played in the English League for many years.
Okay.
For Everton. And so we went there, and the president has always said, and he said it was the taxpayer money that got him where he is today. Because Samuel Doe saw fit and saw their talent and wanted to nurture it by sending them to Brazil. And when he came from Brazil, and that's why I think I was on radio the last time, and I said that the president was already a wizard dribbler. He was a great soccer player. What Brazil did for him was Brazil put him over the hump, because if I can recall, and based on conversation I have had with him, he came back from Brazil. He went to Brazil in 1986. When he came back from Brazil, it was when he won the higher goal scorer and the most valuable player in IE. And from that league, he never played again in Liberia. He was scouted, he was recruited by Tonier, and today the rest is history.
Yeah.
And so I was very much particular on having conversation about the national team, because that's what I was sent there for. And so now I can tell you proudly that the national team has a place to go to train. The national team has facility. Even players on the national team, if they are hurt, they have a place to go seek medical attention. That was the kind of MOU we signed. Besides, and we also talk about technical training, where we would say human capacity training. And so, like the president did, and he instructed me, remember, we have a lot of ex-players that play on the higher level,
yeah.
And the president, first of all, encouraged them and brought in CAF here for them to get the A and B lessons. And so we decided to push that even further. And so we're going to have two-way street where very soon there will be a team from Aspire that will come to follow up on those coaches that already have the A and B license, to give them more technical training, and then those coaches will also have...
Yeah, sorry, Honorable Minister. So let's piggyback a bit. Let's talk about the President's Sports for Development Initiative. What is it? I understand you, as the Minister of State with our portfolio, ahead of the President, PDU, You're going to be leading this. Tell us about that.
Okay. You, you, okay. My job as a minister of state with portfolio, uh, I only move when the president tells me to move,
Yeah.
and so I take the hat of what the president want me to move on, and so if you may recall, sometime in February 2019, when we just took over, we went to Paris, and along with the FIFA boss, Didier Drogba, some NBA stars, we had a lunch with Macron, and Macron said he could not bring about that initiative without having Africa's most gifted and iconic player. And so he, along with His Excellency George Weah, launched what is today called the Sports for Development. And so each country has their own framework implementation,
Okay.
how you want to go ahead to implement it. In Liberia, the implementation, the president has instructed us, and the president has his own implementation framework. This is different from our national agenda under the PAPD.
Okay.
The PAPD, although some of the implementation may coincide with some of our developmental strategy, is different from what is considered the PAPD. And so, under that framework, one of the things the president tried to use is using unique characteristics of sports to be embedded into our young population. And one of such, and under that, we have 4 categories. One is discipline. The president says that discipline is that hallmark that sets you for every and any career path. And this is one thing that for you to play at his level, you have to have abundance of it. And so discipline is one of those pillars. Under the next is respect for opponent. And this the president have exhibited in his new, I won't say new because he's more than 12 years in it now, in his second career in politics. You know that even when we were in opposition, the president always respected the president that was there,
Yeah.
Madam Ellen Johnson
Madam
Sirleaf,
Sirleaf, yeah.
to the extent that he took the offer to be
The sports ambassador.
The peace ambassador.
Peace
Sports
ambassador, yeah.
The sports ambassador was a career, was a title given to him by the late Emma Sawyer.
Emma Sawyer,
But the
yeah.
the peace ambassador was given by Madame Sirleaf. And so that's respect for opponent. While it's true you going against a person, you still have to have respect for that person.
Yeah.
And so it's one of the pillar under the sports for development characteristics and youth development. And so another pillar under that is where he talk about resilience and hard work. And this is something he has always done in his careers, where people say he would not make it, and he used that as an inspiration to push himself further. That's what we consider as framework 1. Framework 2 is what we talk about sports facility development.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to ask. Do we expect to have infrastructure under this initiative?
We already have infrastructure.
Yeah.
It's under the initiative that you have the
Invincible Park.
The Invincible Park.
Okay.
It's under the same initiative that you have a PHP project. Mm-hmm. Because if it was not under that Invincible Park, there are other sector ministry that would have done those projects. But it's because it's housed under the president delivery unit, and the president is the one taking the lead on that. So it's done within the office of the president. Mm-hmm. And so that does not negate the fact that we work along with other sectoral ministries, like in the case of our trip in Qatar. Although I went under the banner of Sports for Development, but I met the youth and sports minister, and there is a conversation that will be here and framework document is being put together from the bilateral side that both ministers will be able to agree upon once their copy has come to us, and then we also push on that leg. And so the same thing, like I recently came back from UAE, where there are priorities that the president has started, like the UAE government trying to produce rice in Liberia.
Okay.
We can look at developing the our local the fourth division, third division, fourth division, because if we find way to develop the children, we get more player, we'll not be searching for player for no star and all the kind of thing, we'll not be facing problem with our team where they flocking or everything.
But just that one not funny question, that's serious question.
Yeah, that's not that
No, but
serious question now.
I like the way you said put it. Because I saw Tajaro.
Okay. No, don't turn the radio into a buzzer radio. The national radio don't turn it into a buzzer radio.
But it's something that is very important because as I would say, when we tell people, when we play television, we were not playing on asphalt turf. We were playing on Tommy Happy where we were climbing up the rock.
Yeah.
And when the president played first division, he didn't play on ATL with artificial turf. He was playing on ball feet.
Yeah.
But guess what? Because of the devotion and the love for the king, they took Liberia to the highest of all. In Liberia, we were ranked the highest ever in our own capacity. So as much as we are doing everything to bring development within the game, it takes the player to also devote themselves to the game. And one of the things that made the president mad and made him start to contact some of his friends is one thing, right? You can sit as a president and you even be on the bench, because I've seen that happen on numerous.
I know.
So people do that, but again.
So the clubs already more than the budget of Liberia.
Okay, minister.
No, let's finalize with the minister. Now let's talk about the stipulation of the aspire. Yeah.
Come back to the help that the president gave.
Okay.
There are high-profile players, and I'm not going to call names, that today are playing in stronger league because they some of them were without job. The president pick up the phone and call people he knows and say, give this player an opportunity for him to play. And I can call 2 or 3 players that he has done it for, and they are playing in good leagues. And he will not come on air and say, oh, I don't want to make it for the player to get a
international contract. Yeah.
If that player has an international contract, he's exposed in a better league and he can play.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to padam and travel allowances for a player, how do you think these players get money? It's done through a budgetary framework. Who presides over it?
The president.
The minister of finance.
Ultimately, the president. Yeah.
So everything is the plan that we have. Today we are doing what we are doing because of the leadership of the president.
Yeah.
And so he has not stopped there. The president has not been like, okay, you know what, I'm doing this. He's still going further. As I'm telling you right now, just have some of those send him to Brazil. We will be sending a whole team to Qatar to go enjoy the asphalt facility for a very long period of time. Once
the national team players?
The national team players, yeah, they will be going there for like, I don't want to take on.
Don't be exact. Don't be specific. Because for a significant amount of time.
Again, a very important question before you go, Minister. Minister,
I just asked some of those send George Weah and people to Brazil.
Okay.
George Weah will also send the national team and other players to countries where they will be there for more than a year, for more than 6 months, to be able to perfect their talent.
Good initiative. But one more question I get for you, Papa. So, looking, I get one question and I get one suggestion before the minister wrap up.
Your question, I answer it because I got excited for sending it, but I'll come back to your question about the development.
No, we don't want interviewing you. You don't take what was you.
No, but the man will answer your question. The man will answer your question.
So my question, the second question say, so with the Aspire people, we expect to get another new stadium from under the negotiation, and so I just want yes for that other answer or no.
We will get a lot of facility from it.
Okay, then my suggestion. Then my suggestion now.
You know me the way I can work.
Hey, that's the way. That's the.
Telling you what I will do until you see it. So
yeah.
you will not get that from me.
Okay, Minister. Then my suggestion I will give to you is this. You know, when it comes to sport with our national team, whole day we got to say, we rebuilding the team. Where there are people who can do the job, a particular job, and whole day conflict coming with people who do the one that there's we had a team that were picking up and they say we were building that team were doing extremely well, but then we go to we see the player in Chakra, there's a Grandpa do, there's a William Jebu, there's a Danfor, and all those boys were doing good. Where are they? Why can't the player they can be called back to the team where the problem was before they resolve it, then all the players come back on the team, that is all of them go to Qatar and see how we can get better team.
The man responsible for.
Let me deal with Jose D.
Okay.
That's suggestion. Suggestion. We're gonna keep whipping up. We're gonna keep whipping up on a coach with not many profiles.
No, I think they're not renewing the coach contract.
Hey,
No,
you got.
I think Jose D have done an injustice to the FA boss because Mustafa Raji has called all the players back.
Okay, then I'm not informed. I'm informed. Then second day say you.
You have to apologize.
Yeah, apology. Then second day say you close to the you say you close to the president. And the president he played dual capacity in that bureau.
Well, you can hustle now.
Yeah, and that affecting the death of two different categories of young people. Two different categories of young people, all of them fall under the entertainment sector. You get a footballer, you get a basketballer, you get the keyboarder, the volleyballer, and the entertainer, musician, and comedian, and all kind of thing. So people know the president before footballer, and then he can sing too because you saw that music. They die, not the diamond and all kind of thing. So the same way you're developing sport facility across the country. Please talk to Mr. President that he do in the direction of a modern theater where the artist and musician can be able to go and display the talent that will have a very good audience where when the movement they can get about 5,000-10,000 people, they will get good money and that will change too. Because all the things bring development to the country. See, Bradley.
Okay, thank you.
I read my case.
I think any other industry has been supported more than your industry because together and it's a massive revenue generating area. I remember when I was much younger, I used to see my older brother, Mark Gasso Phillips, them get ready, getting dressed to go to talent show. And it used to be here to Egypt. I never wanted went there because I was too little, but I knew everybody used to be getting ready to go to Egypt. I always used to want to. And I said, one day I want to go to that Egypt because everybody will be happy getting dressed. People sewing clothes.
I went there one time in the 80s, saw Fatu gave lot dancing. Anyway, Minister, let's conclude on this. I wanted to ask you one question. You presided over the construction of the Invincible Park. You are also presiding over the construction of the Unity Park in the PHP community. When do we expect that to finish?
I just want to make some clarity when it comes to the two facilities.
Mm-hmm.
Invincible Park is the idea of the president, and I had direct supervision over it. Even the engineering supervision, I was involved from the technical part of it. So I was wrapped in that project. When it comes to
the Unity Park,
to PHP, the park is not called Unity Park.
Oh, I thought that was say your color.
No, there is a portion within the park that is called Unity Square. That's where we have the four pillars that unite Liberia, which
Okay.
tells you about our founding fathers and the different people that have governed this country. But this is not the interview. The PHP Sports and Recreation Facility um, was designed,
How is it going to be called? Do we know now?
and the president gave the name. Go back to your, go back to the groundbreaking ceremony. It's called the PHP Sports and Recreation Facility.
Oh, okay. So there's just one area there called the Unity Sports
Square.
something. Unity Sports Square.
No. There is one part of it that is called the Unity Square.
Or the Unity Square. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
okay.
a place where you. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. So with that design, it's different. Is our concept based on the different travels that the president has been doing, working along with AEP to come out with a design for that place. So AEP is the consultant through the Abu Dhabi Development Fund. So AEP represents Abu Dhabi on that project. Now, we went through a bidding process where we had somebody to actually do the implementation, which is the construction part of it. That is being done by BMC Group.
That one a local engineering group.
Yeah, BMC Group is a local construction company headed by Hassan. Then, when it comes to the government supervision and our input within the project, because it was designed by us and the implementation, we are part of it. I represent the President Delivery Unit on that project.
Minister, thank you so much. We gotta go. We got to go at this stage. I wish I had more time. You know, it's your debut, and we really, really wanted to talk to you so long. I think we did about 30 minutes or so. We just want you to be regular on the show. We'll call you further if you have the time. You know, that's the voice of the Minister of State without portfolio, Minister Chokongpi. Let's open the lines briefly for those of you out there who want to participate. We got a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah.
We got to talk further about.
If I can't talk about bringing your friend, you can be against the idea. Yeah,
No, I'm not against
you
it.
against the idea.
We want to talk to two more people. First, Moses Carter. We want to talk to Moses Carter.
Moses,
We also
where
want to
is
talk to
Moses?
Andy Kwame. You know, we'll talk to them both. But for now, we're going to take a few calls and then we'll call us on the following numbers. Yeah, police spokesman. 0880-514-096. That's 0880-514-096 or 086-516. The 561-537. That's 086-561-537. Those are the two numbers you can call.
Okay.
Let's talk to this first caller. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Waka, and good morning to Joseph. This is Amadou Bility.
Amadou, how are you?
It's summer. My turn now.
No, not all billeted.
Anything I do, anything can be my boy. It's not obvious. Answer the game, my bro.
Okay, so again, I'm doing good, and I've been following you religiously. Let me say thank you for the work that you continue to do for this nation.
Okay.
It is much, and it is very, very patriotic. This is what we need. We need to tell you what the government is all about,
Okay.
and how we can support the government. And let me come to the issue of sport.
Okay.
Waka, the issue about sport,
Mhm.
it is not just a facility, it is about the willpower of those who are part of it to endure and challenge the odds to succeed.
Yeah.
One of the major things that have denied most of the young people the opportunity to excel is discipline. They are not willing to be instructed, they are not willing to follow instructions. They feel they know it all once people start to call their name. So I want to encourage all of the young people through your medium to say that Liberia is all we have. We can all collectively develop Liberia in the major areas of gift that God has given her individually. And let me also buttress Joseph D. We need
Yeah, we gotta go, Billy. I'm so sorry. Let.
a national theater.
Thank you, Billy. We gotta go. Let's talk to Randa Dubayu. Randa, good morning.
Good morning, good morning to Josephine. Of course, his name is Randa Doba USA, and I phone you from Morovia.
Okay.
Yeah, so again, every Friday I'm close to radio to listen to you, Kwame, and Josephine, and this is my favorite show. And of course, just to harmony a bit because we all like posts. But, Fufana, let me say this. Today you are an acclaimed journalist and a great public servant. You went to school, you chose that career.
Why you get from the man?
I look at a case in the community.
With all the good news coming to us, I think in order to have more of these developments coming to us, we Liberians need to support this president, Dr. John Manuel in every possible way because this is the only president in the history of this country that is trying to efficiently and honestly manage the resources of our country for the benefit of all Liberians.
Because you what?
Start believing in people.
Correct.
To spread falsehood and misinformation about this country. The honesty and hypocrisy will not develop this country. And of course, also use the time for all the presidents.
Don't cry, my son, don't cry.
Use the retreat for some ministers and other government officials that are in power that are not checking